nods. Whee!
Mm. Ooh. Please note, the following is still in development as far from the original product.
Hello, I'm Anders.
Hi,
I'm
Anders.
the creator of the ISMC mod for Insurgency Sandstorm.
Oh!
Now I work with Fray Interactive, developing SCP.
I talked to
Pandemic,
Anders, I thought.
a tactical shooter in a much more supernatural world.
During our
This
interview.
is one video of a two-part series covering our two main inspirations for SCP Pandemic. In the previous video, our lead writer, Gabriel, covered the story and SCP-related aspects of the game. In this video, we'll be covering the more tactical and gameplay-oriented focus of the game. We hope you enjoyed the video.
Okay. Tactical realism. Okay, let's talk, boys. I wasn't consulted.
I honestly love Insurgency Sandstorm. Though it may have had some difficulties on the modding end, it really achieves many great things, and it feels great to play. Unfortunately, we weren't able to work on it forever, and there were some things, sounds and animations mainly, that we were simply unable to do. Now, that is not
I
only
did
possible,
enjoy interviewing
but it's
these
being
guys and
actively
talking to them.
developed in the same style and vision in SCP Pandemic. Same goes for the modding. Not only is it planned for SCP Pandemic, but we intend to make it as open and easy as possible.
Oh.
Some of the artists from ISMC have been improving their skills over the last year, and are currently working hard on weapons, environment, and character assets for Fray Interactive. John, known as Tempter, Samir, known as Caden, and myself, Anders. The technical director of Fray Interactive, Al Barney, shares a lot of the passions that we had during the creation of the
I know
ISMC mod,
Barney.
and has worked on some fantastic gunplay and FPS mechanics, which is just what we wanted to create beyond what we could achieve with the ISMC mod.
I'm
He comes
Alpha,
up in my comments.
Technical Director
Yeah.
at Afray Interactive.
He pipes in my
Among other
comments every
things,
once in a
I'm
while.
responsible for developing the FPS mechanics
Hi, buddy.
and animation system that drives the core gameplay for SCP Pandemic. Starting with an incredibly modest budget, we've developed procedural animation systems to carry our animators' work as far as possible, while requiring the minimum amount of animations and setup work.
There she is.
This means many features can be developed once and will work for all weapons, and animations can be laid on top of each other very easily. Some examples of features that come for free with a system like this include reloading while sprinting, ADS, or low ready. I'd like to walk you through the design process for a couple of mechanics that have surfaced throughout the development of SCP Pandemic. An important and often overlooked aspect of gunplay is the on-screen movement of the weapon. The way the weapon moves alone can make a huge difference to the way the game is played, to immersion, and to the grounded feel of the game.
I'll second that.
Even within the genre of tactical shooters, there's a wide variety of styles of movement, and the way a game approaches this can greatly influence the player's experience. The three games that we're going to be looking at today are Escape from Tarkov, Ready or Not, and Insurgency Sandstorm. We love each of these games, and each approach to the design of these systems is perfectly valid. We're just looking at the pros and cons of each approach, and ultimately what we want to take from that to give SCP Pandemic
I like the
its
vibe
own
it's giving me
unique
off right
experience.
now.
Yeah.
It's kind of a stalker vibe,
Escape
dude.
from Tarkov and Ready or Not both use movement and rotational sway as a tactic to force players to slow down and be methodical. It helps punish players running and gunning, however, the downside to this is that at times it can feel sluggish or hard to control. Insurgency Sandstorm approaches this trying to be as responsive as possible. This makes controlling the character feel very tight, however it can also serve to encourage players to move faster, which can sometimes take away from the overall tactical experience. Our experiences in similar games informed how we designed our movement and rotation animation systems in SCP Pandemic. We wanted to encourage players to not rush in too much, but also wanted it to feel as responsive and immersive as possible. A while after initial discussions, we were talking with a firearms consultant.
Oh,
about
that seems pretty
balancing
fucking
attachments in
scary to me.
SCP Pandemic's gunplay.
I think that looks
We're trying
good.
to find a reason that you might want to minimize the attachments selected for your weapons compared to going all out. One of
Weight?
the things that was mentioned was weapon
Maneuverability?
weight and center
Yeah.
of mass, and specifically the weight
Yeah.
of the muzzle.
Uh-huh.
As you add more mass to the front of your gun, it becomes more difficult to control, and slows your ability to make quick adjustments to aim. This reminded me of our earlier discussions and how I felt in regards to certain ways of adding rotational lag, and suddenly we have a new mechanic underway. The current weight system for Pandemic factors in your grip, the weight of your attachments and weapon, alongside player health to calculate how much control you have over the weapon.
Ooh.
If the control factor is below a certain threshold, the weapon starts lagging more behind your view and also takes longer to aim down sights.
Okay.
This is how we like to approach a lot of design choices for SCP Pandemic, to build on ideas from other
I'm
games
not mad
in
at
the
that at
genre
all.
and form decisions
like the
for our
fact that
specific use case.
There's penalties
We
to
intend
if
to
you're
bring this
wounded.
same approach as we begin to work on future, more advanced mechanics, such as bipods, stage reloads, and more in the future. As for optics, Albarni has been working on detailed post-process effects to make our scopes look just like real life. Just like other modern games, red dots and holographic sights are also using proper parallax effects to emulate that real-life offset you would get when looking at the reticle
Okay.
and moving the gun around. This
Yeah.
also works really well with the weight and sway system. Sometimes your reticle will actually disappear out of the sight picture completely if you have bad weapon control. We have been working on a revamped
Do you have
ballistic
picture
system
proper
which
sight
better
picture
takes
sight
into
alignment?
account penetration of different materials as well as armor piercing, with the
Giblets.
goal of having a good balance between weapons designed for flesh or armor damage.
Okay.
An SMG or a shotgun does a
This
very
is
different kind of
very
damage
in-depth
to an armor target when
for an
compared
SCP
to an
game.
armor-piercing rifle.
Yeah, man.
With a vast universe of different fleshy targets, exoskeletons, armored humans, this system will be a big part of how you build your loadout. It might be a good idea to have your team bring
There's a
something
comment I
well
wanna make
suited
after
for
this.
fighting off hordes of soft targets, as well as something powerful and armor-piercing for fighting various SCPs. A proper armor system is something that we always wanted to do in ISMC,
Whoa.
but now we finally have a great opportunity to test out and realize those ideas. Weapon customization is also a big focus for us. It needs to be extensive and up to the standards that everyone has grown to expect from a modern FPS game. We will focus mostly on gameplay related upgrades instead of the aesthetics only upgrades we did in ISMC. The customization system is set up to accept community made mods that can change out handguards, stocks, barrel attachments, and so on. This also extends into the modding space. Our future plans are to open this framework fully to modders
Good.
in order to
Yeah, I
embrace
thought I
the
heard
full
that.
potential of our systems and mechanics. The same system that brings the required animations per gun from dozens down to 5 or 6 will also be invaluable to modders, whose focus is to create as much content as possible in projects similar to ISMC.
I know
What I
exactly
enjoy
where
the
they're going with
most
this now.
about working on a tactical SCP game is that we don't have to make compromises on the tactical gameplay, but rather imagine how modern tactics would be applied in a reality-defying scenario. Say, how would SEAL Team 6 fight off a creature
Oh,
that is
come
impervious to
on.
conventional weaponry? Can you fight it, or do you have to contain it, or avoid it altogether?
I gotta use a SEAL team fucking analogy.
As a player, you should be able to make tactical decisions with the information you find while facing these SCPs, and be able to apply problem solving and on-the-fly tactical
I like
thinking
that.
to overcome any situation you find yourself in. Ultimately, our goal is that our game not only allows you to play in this way, but rewards it.
Not to mention dealing with anomalies,
Well,
man.
that's all we
I was
have
gonna
for
change
this.
those up.
We hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe even gained an interesting insight into our design process.
Actually,
There's still a
yeah.
lot to learn here, not just in making our game better, but also in making more videos like these. If you haven't already, feel free to check out the other video in this series where we cover the writing and storytelling aspects of this game. Ad Astra.
I think they want to. At first, I thought they were just trying to make like a son of a SCP game, just like an SCP game that's like horror specific. Now I think they're trying to make this stand out amongst the Titans, dude. Now that I think
Yeah,
about
man.
it, I think that's what they're trying to do. I did not expect that. I didn't think they were gonna
Yeah.
do that.
Almost makes me feel like there could be a like force on force
Yeah.
against other players.
They
you know,
already are
with
working on it. They already are
Yeah.
working on it. I know for a
That's
fact they are.
like GOC versus whatever, and then you got SCPs running amok.
Like I didn't expect them to go this in depth with it.
Yeah,
Like
I'm happy to see.
fucking
I like the
for an SCP game. Like you don't expect that for an SCP game.
no, especially again. I mean, I know it caught us with the when SCP became like the hype.
Yeah.
We started looking into the concept art that they had, and we're like, holy shit! Like, let's monitor this.
Yeah.
But now to see it now, shit. See
And
the
then
roadmap, kind of.
they're gonna hit the mod space hard with that. Like that's gonna be whatever they haven't incorporated, someone else is gonna fucking
Oh
incorporate.
yeah,
That's
that
gonna
was
be
that's a
fucking.
good call. I
That's gonna be
think.
fucking dope. Plus, it's the ISMC guy. I love the ISMC guys.
Oh yeah. I've always liked the weapon play in that.
And remember before I interviewed him, I was like, "Seems like you guys are trying to go like a private route," and they're like, and there was like some shifting in the room, like the room. Like, yeah, okay, I got you. I'm tracking now. It's a lot of unveiling.
Hmm.
So
Good
I don't
for
know, man.
them.
I'm excited to see it. I wish they would ask me questions and stuff, but we'll see. There's a wealth
Yeah,
of
and
knowledge
some
in
of the
here.
character. It's funny seeing some of those character movements, like the fucking Avatar as he runs, he like bobs up and down like a foot. Like
Yep.
Jesus Christ, yeah, your fucking your aim would be shit if you're moving.
Nope.